Welcome back to Track Tips. I'm Coach White, and we're here for round number 2. This time we're going to talk about why stress is actually a good thing for us as athletes. So stress is what causes adaptations. As humans, this is one of our big superpowers. In addition to normal kind of adaptations, we're able to do creative adaptations. We have clothing, we cook our food, we build houses to live in, we have tools to do things that we couldn't do with just our bodies. We are really good at adapting to our situations as needed caused by stress. We're also able to have physiological adaptations. We're able to make changes to our muscular system. We're able to change our cardiovascular system. Even our neuromuscular connections, we're able to make changes to these by provoking stress and making our bodies react and adapt to it. Now, role of me as a coach and for all other coaches is we need to program stress into your practice time, and the goal is to use that stress to make you into a better athlete. Now, we know that human bodies all react pretty much the same way to specific kinds of stress. If I send you out on a run, you're not going to grow a bunch of hair out of your nose. You're going to stress your cardiovascular system, to some extent also your neuromuscular system and your muscular systems. And you are going to adapt to that. And that adaptation is not going to cause weird things to happen with your eyeballs. Now, the part that is different with each person is that everybody is beginning at a different level. Your baseline strengths and cardiovascular system, that's going to be different across the board, and that's going to affect the outcomes that we have for any given stress. Additionally, we all have our own little idiosyncrasies with our physiology. One side of the body's slightly larger than the other. Our bones might be in slightly different shapes, but for the most part, it's going to be the same. And we can anticipate the kind of adaptations that are going to be made because of the stresses that we provide. Now, the goals of an individual athlete are really important because that informs us of the kind of stress that we need to put you under to help you reach those goals. We want the adaptations that you develop to be positive for accomplishing that thing that you want to do. And as a coach, I also need to make sure that I'm staying up to date on research and methodology, that I'm talking to other coaches, that I'm reading the latest scientific information about how specific types of exercise can produce different kinds of outcomes, so that way I can provide the best kind of stress to help you get your goals. Now, too much stress can be a bad thing. Think about a rubber band. When you stretch a rubber band, you're loading it with potential energy so that when you release it, there is a reaction, there is energy being used. We need that energy in order to accomplish what we're doing, and your muscles, your tendons, your epineuroses are all kind of like rubber bands, and when we use them, we're stretching them. When we stretch them too much, just like the rubber band, they will break. We want to provide just enough stress so that any damage that we cause can be repaired that night when you're sleeping or the next day, so that way we can get back to it, because your body will adapt by making your rubber band stronger. Now, throughout this process, we want to make sure that you aren't breaking, and the body has a system of pain reception in order to protect us from our rubber bands snapping. So if we want to protect ourselves from an injury in the first place, we need to listen to those pain receptors. If we want to not make a pre-existing injury worse, we still need to pay attention to those pain receptors. Now, I'm going to define injury as the inability to perform at a usual or habitual level. If I'm normally an 11.2 100-meter runner and I'm only able to run 11.4 or 11.5 right now, I'm going to consider that some sort of injury, and I'm going to need to work to get back to the level that I was at before. Now, some signs of injury: if you ever feel a sharp discomfort in a muscle, a bone, or one of your joints, that's probably the beginning of an injury and you're causing damage. And you should probably stop what you're doing. If it's no longer possible for you to use correct form or technique in what you're trying to do, you probably have an injury. I can think of an athlete just last week who was trying to run just on his toes with his left foot, and his right foot he was running normally because he felt pain anytime he brought his heel down to the ground. That's a sign of an injury, and we need to recover from that injury. Another sign of injury is when you're doing a workout and you can't hit those reps anymore, you can't hit those times anymore. You're either injured or you're on the verge of injury, and we need to be paying attention to how all that's going on. So I need you to listen to your pain. Pain reception is injury protection. So that means we can't take pain relievers before we're practicing or before we're competing, because we need to have access to that biofeedback so we don't cause really, really bad injury. So let's not take acetaminophen or Tylenol. Let's not take aspirin. Let's not take ibuprofen or Advil. Let's not take naproxen sodium or Aleve before practice or before a meet, because these things block our ability to know if we are causing further injury to ourselves. So we need to avoid these substances before practice and before competition. Now, if you're like, Coach, if I don't take ibuprofen, I can't practice because it hurts too much. Guess what? You are injured and you shouldn't be practicing anyway, or you shouldn't be competing. Your health is more important than getting into practice. Your health is more important than getting in one more race. We need to have you be healthy and happy for long-term growth. We're not going to sacrifice championship season in May just because we want to do something crazy in March. So that's all I have for you for track tips number 2. Sorry for those bell rings, but my lunchtime is short. I got to get these in while I can. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time for more track tips.